All right, welcome back to the Ode Chronicles. Again, I'm Libby Reitmann, your moderator and fan of all things endurance. And in particular, I am a fan of the Ode to Lasz race, a golden ticket backyard ultramarathon event held in my home state of Michigan. The Ode Chronicles is where we get to know our event participants and we get to discover what it takes to run one loop or many. In this case, we're going to dive right in with Abby McCarthy, a 2020 100-mile finisher of the Ode to Lasz race. So thanks, Abby.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming and talking to me tonight, and congratulations on completing 100 miles of that course.
Thanks.
I know it's not an easy one. So I understand that you are not from Michigan. Where are you from?
So I'm from Western New York.
Okay.
So Rochester, New York. So it's normally about 5 and some hour drive, but because Canada's closed, it was like 8 or so.
Oh.
And during the drive, like Google Maps was like, a shorter route has opened, and it's like, what? And it kept like, and it was like a shorter route, and I to the point where I was like, Google, is Canada open again? And Google was like, no, it's not open. So I was like, stop telling me I can go to Canada. So I just like drove through. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience during the summer.
I should pick up the Ohio boys. We could have carpooled.
True that, yeah. Next year.
Yeah.
So how did you hear about the Ode to Lasz? And I guess what brought you all the way to Michigan?
So I wanted to run Big's backyard. So I had like sent in, you can go on Ultra Sign Up and like sign up, but you have to send in sort of your application. And I submitted my application, and of course I like didn't get in because I don't have any credentials. And I had set a little alarm in my calendar for the 4th of every month to email Big.
Oh.
And to say like, hey, this is what I've done so far, and this is what I've been doing, or like, here's a picture of me trying to get ready for Big's Backyard Ultra. And finally he engaged the enemy and was like, okay, you can do this race, just win a golden ticket race. And I was like, okay.
So Lasz responded to you then?
Yeah, I think he had to.
Okay.
Because he either had a cease or desist. No, he actually responded like pretty like early on, and like I was joking with my boyfriend because I was like, when he wrote back, I was like, oh my god, like totally. I was like, oh my god, you'll never get sued, just email me. And then every time like then I would email and email, be like, I'm like, what should I say? And I was like, it must be very reassuring for you that this is the man I'm like totally geeking out about, and like getting all these like emails and like tone like glued to my phone regarding like it's it'd be like crushing on like Bill Nye, I think, sort of similar, like threatening, but like, okay, I can see,
Yeah.
So he's, very reasonably said, if you want to run this race, then you just have to win a golden ticket race. And I thought that was very rational and appropriate, like, because if you think you can win big, so you have to prove you can win something else. So I looked for a golden ticket race, and I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked. And this was even, pre-COVID. And heat is my kryptonite. I'm terrible in the heat. Because as I mentioned to you before, like I'm inherently like a very lazy person. And when my body gets warm, it's really saying like, lay down.
Right. Time to sleep.
Just back off. Just dial it back. So the way my like calendar was set up, and when I had vacation and when I had to work and all these other things, July really was like the best time. And I emailed Lasz and I was like, okay, I signed up for the Ode to Lasz, how can it be any more like, and I was like, and I'm facing one of my biggest demons, which is the heat challenge. So if I said, when I win this, then like, I'll have overcome a couple of different things. And he was like, great, good luck. He's like, it's not luck that you need. Like, okay, cool.
Right.
So
He's got to be cryptic.
yeah, I found it looking for a golden ticket, and then looking for one that was like not ridiculously far away, and and just yeah, and it looked great. It looked like a fun, like everything on the like website, just looked like a fun group of people, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, it's definitely, it's been said to be a very social race. I don't know, this year changed things a little bit because
yeah,
obviously not as many people were able to participate. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a fun run for a
yeah.
while until you get real serious, right?
I don't know. I think most things in life that are fun are generally fun for a while, and then
Yeah,
you can reach a sort of saturation of funness. Like,
yeah,
then you have the punishment phase. So I think it's like endurance running is not so different than most things in life. Like,
yeah,
yeah. Um,
yeah.
my friend was initially supposed to come and run as well.
Oh,
But then like when it got rescheduled, it just didn't work with her work schedule. So
oh, okay.
yeah.
So you guys were gonna run together. Now, did you have um did you have any other experience in backyard style running, or was this your first event?
No, this was definitely my first.
Okay.
I've done loop races. So there's a really great 1 mile loop race near us called Mind the Ducks because it's around like these. It's in like a park, but it's one of those like nice like walking around, and there's like little fitness exercises for
Oh,
the geriatric and infirmed, and there's all these like reflecting ponds, and there's ducks everywhere. So whatever, it's Mind the Ducks, and it's a 1 mile loop. And I signed up for that years ago to make myself mentally tougher because I'm again like generally like not that tough. So I was like, if I have to, and it's like a 12-hour race, so just 1 mile, 12 hours, you got to do it. You just stick with it. So it's going to make you tough, you know?
yeah.
Instead, it was like really the most fun I'd ever had.
Oh,
There's just people the whole time, and you run with this person, you chat with them, and so you can kind of spend some time with people who are faster than you, and then people who are not running as fast as you. You get to chat with them. You see different people. People are achieving things all throughout the day. I I was like, that was a total fail because I loved that. That was so fun. I did not get tough at all. I just loved it. Yeah. And then so I went back and did that another time, and then for my birthday this year, because everything was canceled, I did it for one lap for every year of my age.
oh, okay.
Like just went out there on a Tuesday or something and like crewed out of my back of my car, like, time for some chips. Moved around. Yeah.
And everybody out there sitting and watching the ducks was like, "Didn't I just see that girl like 6 hours
And
ago?"
like, you're turning 40 and you're doing what? For you.
I think Sarah just did that like a week ago for her birthday.
Like, he did it in that way that she has like an ability to like elevate beyond. She did like a 1/4 mile track, so like I think her like
At night.
her left leg is gonna be like shorter.
And she did it at night. So yeah, the story, you got to ask her about that story. It's pretty funny. But yeah, what's up with you guys trying to run your birthday, run your age? Like,
COVID has taken a lot away from us. All right,
right. Got to find new forms of entertainment,
yeah,
right?
new versions of birthday.
So, were you always an avid runner, or what got you into running?
No, so like I definitely never ran. Nope, hated it. I like rode during college, and like running was something they sometimes made us do, which was like really punitive. But uh, in like 2008, I hiked the Appalachian Trail, uh, which is a long distance trail from Georgia to Maine, which I know you know all about.
Yeah.
A little over 2,000 miles. And when I came back, like I just had this kind of like general energy and restlessness. And so I was just like walking everywhere. And I think I was running the risk of becoming that like interesting person in the neighborhood who's always walking everywhere, like at all hours. Like I'd be down like by the railroad tracks, and it was just me and the train spotters, and I'm like, "Hi guys."
Pretending to be a hobo, right?
And so like finally one of my friends, I guess it was like a very mild intervention, was like, if you just walk like a little faster, that would be running. And it would not look so weird and you could do more in a shorter period of time. So I had was like, okay, I guess now I can run. And I signed up for a 28-mile race called the Mega Transect in Pennsylvania. I was like, this is perfect. It's like a whole day on the trail. You like can run, you're hiking. They have snacks like every few miles. It's gonna be great. And so I was like, this is perfect. Like I can get my hiking in, I can do a little running, I can like open up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, put a Reese's peanut butter cup in it, some chips, close it, look like a and like so that was it was my way to sort of microdose, sort of that long trail experience, because you get the nice community and you know the trail is set for you and you can kind of so
Yeah.
I started more trail stuff, and then I started running roads after that because it's a little easier to find other people who are willing to run on roads, and the people sign up for marathons, and so just sort of started running after that. So yeah, it was like a quick
Did you find your body was accommodating quickly to the running since you were so used to walking with a pack? Was it kind of like a shock to your system, or did you feel like it was just the next step? Like, oh, I can do this.
I think because my gait is essentially just an accelerated walking. I have very much not like a runner's gait. My friend was injured the other day, his Achilles hurt, so he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have to run like you," which I guess means maybe very efficiently. I don't know. So
there you go. Yeah.
you don't use your Achilles or your muscles. So it wasn't bad because it was really just an increased cadence of walking, and
Okay.
yeah, it's just so I don't have a runner's form. I don't have a good turnover, and I'm a total heel striker, and I've actually never been able to use my butt to exercise. So it's so yes, it was a very natural transition.
Okay.
Just made the walking go faster.
Right. Did your giant calves, because I know you had them, right?
Yeah.
Did they help you or did they hinder you? Because
They're total help. Total
were they
help.
helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. I
And
felt like mine were just gonna explode.
my ant tib, so that muscle in front of your shin.
Yeah.
My kids are really strong because I have to lift my toe up all the time. So used to lifting my toe way up for that AT Rudy rockiness that it's one of my strongest muscle groups. I think it's my anterior tibialis. So it's that's perfect for trail running, especially if it's technical, because you just need to kind of pull your toes up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you experience any injuries when you first started the transition from hiker to runner?
No, I had given myself pretty bad Achilles tendonitis on the Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
And I have actually some bony deformity from it because it was pretty bad. But Appalachian Trail, what I did was just cut out the back of my shoe and make a little yoke with duct tape, because it hurt to have the heel on my shoe. So I cut down with scissors and cut that out, and then made a duct tape yoke, so when you're going uphill I didn't slide out the back of the shoe, and so that made it more tolerable until it calmed down. But that doesn't ever bother me, I think, because my gait's sort of accommodated for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that to your shoes nowadays?
No.
Okay, that's good.
But the back of my shoes, it's always the foam always gets all scooped out and worn away. So that's when you know, because it just goes away.
You need a new pair of shoes by that point then, yeah.
So yeah, I think the only time I had to take any time off was a dog induced ankle sprain. So I just
Okay.
Yeah, so I've just, and again, I think that some of that is too because I'm a generally reserved person, and people talk about the pain cave, and I'm more of a discomfort den Like and I think that probably super limits me.
You don't get to the pain cave. You
I don't
stop
want
at
to
the
go
discomfort
there.
tent.
No.
Who
I'm
does?
like,
Yeah, I don't know who wants to go there, but there are
I
some
think
people.
Sarah has referred the pain cave as like a comfortable place for her.
Yeah.
Some people really do. I think they like that, like tapping that next level. I'm a like I don't want to know it, and I know that that limits me. So I think I'm supposed like, and that's why I like signed up for the race in July because I need to learn to be uncomfortable, and
Okay.
that 1 mile loop to try and get uncomfortable, and some
Yes.
like I'll try and set like time things for like road marathons, so I have to force myself to like push,
Okay.
but the no pain cave for me. Like, I just don't like it.
So okay, let me step back a little bit because so you've done the AT, you've done the PCT, so you know what it's like to be uncomfortable though. Did you miss being uncomfortable? Is that why
But
is
I
that
don't
what the
know.
goal for these were? Like, or did you forget
I must.
about
I think it's the same way
okay.
people have more than one kid. Like you have, you ha- you you cannot earnestly recall that in all its vividness and be like, that was amazing. I should do that again. Um, but I have to, and so in my mind, besides my Achilles heels on the AT, and that was like very briefly in the beginning, when it's first, your body's like, why do you want me to do this? I don't think I had a lot of discomfort. It wasn't uncomfortable for me
Hmm.
because I just made modifications to make it more comfortable.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
when
I sign up for this for the like longer endurance stuff because it's like a great like it's a script. Like you get to have this whole day on the trail. This will be your experience. You can go out there. And again, it's like those expectations I was talking to you about. Like it will be hard and you probably won't be good at it. And like you can like, I can like knock those off like every time. It is hard and I'm not like very good at this, but I'm outside. I'm like on the trail. People are like, there's a like, get on the trail and do this. I'm one of those people who I think the long trails, like I like it because there's a script. It's like,
yeah,
you know,
very simplified.
it's like 2,000 miles long and like 2.5 feet wide. And that's your adventure. Where
Mhm.
like, people who are like, I'm going to sail for like 6 months, that would not be like, that is a very loose script. So like trail races and endurance races, there's a general script. And so like for me, like one of the biggest challenges would be like the Barkley marathons.
Oh, yes. The
Because
wayfinding and
yeah,
everything.
because there isn't a script. So I think that
Yeah.
that's always something that I'm sort of always like looking at, but I'm not taking any steps to getting good at. So I think I know like I don't own a compass. But
Girl, I'll go even farther and say if it's not on gut hook, I'm not just not doing it. Like, that's how scripted I like it to be.
back in my day, there was no gut hook.
I know, and you just so missed out. Did you use it though on the PCT?
Oh yeah.
And isn't it amazing,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
what we're talking about a hiking app. I guess you can use it for running too if you really want, but it's basically it's called Gut Hook. It's an app that has a couple of different long distance trails on it. They keep adding to it every year, but it literally tells you you can see the elevation profile of everything. It'll show you where you're at on the way up the mountain when you're like, God, how much farther to the top? And there you, oh, okay, it's right there. It'll show you where all the water is. It'll show you where all the campsites are. I mean, it makes things like a no-brainer. You can't get lost when you got that app. So I wish they did something like that for trail running. Like it, I don't know, just gave you a kick in the ass every now and then.
We
So
have we have a great one of my friends, Mike Murtzock here in Rochester, and the Trails Rock, which is our like one of our trail running groups. They have an app for all of our local trails, And so
Oh,
you can see where you are on it. It can show you the colors that be marked on. It shows you where the parking is. It gives you the distances so you know how you can like link them together. And
oh, that's nice.
so it's so super nice to have. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
You look at that and you're like, there's a trail over there, like places you didn't know about. So it's really cool.
Right. Yeah, that's how we explore our own backyard.
Yeah.
So, I had never been, and I live about 40 minutes away from the Ode Lasz course, but I had never been to Holly Rec State Park,
Oh,
which
wow.
is which is a gorgeous park,
Yeah.
and quite a large park actually. Even though you guys, the runners only see the 4 mile loop of it, but it's actually a huge park.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so you looked up this golden ticket race, you signed up for it. Your friend dropped, wasn't able to come, so you came
Yeah.
out by yourself.
Yeah. And we had
You had
had
no
people that were going to come and crew us and meet us there. But then again, like COVID, it was like a super bad idea. Yeah.
Okay. So you came without any crew.
Yeah.
So you crewed yourself.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because had you crewed yourself before for this kind of distance? You ran
Well,
100 miles.
the
Or
Appalachian
100
Trail
yeah.
on PCT is pretty much self-crewing.
Well, yeah, but yes, it is.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
100 routes. No, like I'd never run 100 before and never self-crewed. And, I had such an awesome job making this COVID safe, and it really kind of helped because you're like, there's not going to be anything at the aid station. So you didn't have to say like, is it ridiculous if I bring X, Y, and Z and it's going to be right there, because I knew, especially with the transition between like because I was at the top of the hill, where the Power Broads, where Sarah and like Christina and I were, and some other there was such an awesome swath of women that came from the top of the hill. Like we came down the hill to be like, we are the ladies. Like, ready to rumble. It was really cool. And I was like, where are your ladies? What happened over here to all your ladies? But there was just an awesome supportive group of women there. And it was easier to know, like, I'm not going to be doubling up on anything. And then, my big concern was if I, like, when I made it through the trail stuff, like, how was I going to get everything in the car and get over? And luckily they organized that so nicely. And one of Sarah's friends, I think, Hussein, he actually like put everything in my car,
Okay.
drove me over, and like then kind of set stuff up for me. But what I did was just, I thought about like how many calories per hour I wanted to eat, and then had like these things. I don't know if you can see them. So they're like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like cheap, like $5 like Target totes. I had like a salty one and a sweet one, and had things kind of savored in like Ziploc bags. And if things worked well to be like 200 calories, they got their own bags. But if there was like 400, that was fine. I knew if I ate half. And then I like set aside like a bunch of soft flasks, and I knew I should take like a water one every one, and then a tailwind one every other. So I had made enough soft flasks for the first 6 loops.
Oh, okay.
So for 6 loops, I knew I wasn't going to have to be filling water and mixing.
Yeah.
And then so I could kind of move through that. And then if I had extra time, I would mix up the next, so kind of like lead them out. And I had a separate cooler in the car for the nighttime, because I knew I would probably like decimate one version of like chilled stuff or ice or cold drinks, because again, I was very afraid of the heat. So like I knew that cooler would just stay in the car and the next cooler should come with me. So I wasn't like digging like a rat through stuff. And I had like a trash bag and just kind of kept things like organized. And before the transition, I like was writing down everything I was eating, because you don't remember.
Right.
So I'd look and be like, okay, I had a hard-boiled egg and 2 Oreos. So like I can probably just do a gel or whatever. So I could look back and see what I had. And
Okay.
A little tiny list of things that I needed to ask myself, do I need to do this before I go back out? So it was like, do you need to like sunscreen, lube, or see, I don't even remember, or like wipe face or something. It was like three, like
Oh,
ask yourselves, or take, no, it was pain medicine. Like,
okay.
do you ask yourself these three things that you're going to be sad if you go back out and you haven't done them? So it mostly had the stuff like written out and then measured out. Um, and then what I would do at night in order to try and like give myself some like brain peace, because I was not having enough time where I was actually like resting.
Right.
Like the way like Maggie and Courtney and Biggs were like, oh, I like it at nights because like you can do the loops and like get a nap.
Right.
No. Maybe when your body is no longer actively trying to be awake. Like I just paced my friend a couple weeks ago. She did the Heavily in 100 a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
So in order for them to social distance, you were only allowed one person. So I crewed her for the first 60 miles and then paced her for like the last 40. And actually like fell asleep while we were like running or power
Oh.
at one point. And my mom was like, you can't do that. And I was like, in fact, I did. And she's like, you would fall down. And I was like, and that is how I woke up. Because I just like,
Did you fall asleep on your
I
feet?
fell asleep and like hit the ground. And she's like, are you okay? And I was like, oh yeah, totally. I'm totally fine. I'm in charge of our safety. It's great. And that's when I learned my testament of like no-dos. They work great. But so I had all my stuff at Odes, like little Ziploc baggies. Like these are Tylenol, these are Advil, these are no-dos, these are Celtebs, and they were all like labeled and put out. So the transition was a little tough because I was sort of like, ooh, like my house is all like disheveled. But
Right. Yeah.
they did an awesome job as they could. So what I would do at night to kind of buy myself time is I like put my hydration vest on, and I would put like a flask for both loops and like the gel I needed for both loops. So like in between 1 and 2, I would like just like sit
And chill. Yeah.
and then I knew I didn't have to think about this bottle, this bottle, this bottle, this bottle, because I knew I was covered for like 8 miles, and then kind of do that again.
Did you plan that out before the race started, or was that an idea you came up with during?
Oh, before the race started. Yeah.
Before. Okay.
That would be a good way to buy myself some like time.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a little bit more thought that goes into it when you have to crew yourself. And
because you have to remember what you need to
right.
get what you want and know where to find it.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you get tired, like how you said, you were writing everything down. As you get tired, you start to forget, like, wait a minute, what did I just eat on that last loop? Like, where am I at on my calories? And yeah, that was smart.
And the Complete Runner, they were there at the top of the hill right next to me, and they were great because they had like a Super Bowl winning size jug of Gatorade, like one of those big toters full of Tailwind, and they were like, we will never do all that. So I didn't even have to like mix up, so I could just like fill off their keg of Tailwind there. So that was it, and they were so like kind and helpful, and I guess I looked pretty pathetic. Like, oh, you drove here from New York by yourself. That's an amazing person.
Well, do you feel like there are benefits to crewing yourself?
No.
Okay. No benefit. Okay. I was looking for something, but nothing.
If you have the wrong crew, and as the runner, you end up taking care of them and being like, I'm so sorry, that was a long drive. I'm really sorry. Like, oh my gosh, you guys must be freezing. Oh, like, if that's on the runner too, like that would be a me issue if I did that. But if you have the wrong crew and you're ending up worrying about your crew, that would be a detriment.
Okay.
I can imagine that in like some of these like bigger races where they're driving everywhere and they need to be here and you need to be there. And like, it's like, but for something like this where they can like Javelina was great because Javelina is like 20-mile loops too. So like I could just sit, like get all the business together for my friend and then just sit.
Right.
And then my entire attention is like taking care of her, and then says, so like there's no detriment to Abby.
Yeah.
because I know my crew would have tipped my ass out of that chair and back out to that line again. And
Okay.
I think like, and it's terrible. And again, to go back, I think this is why people have more than one children, because you forget so quickly. Like later that day, I was already like, why did I stop? And of course I said,
Uh,
because I was freaking exhausted and I couldn't go anymore. Like I know in my heart of hearts, I was done running or
yeah.
participating in the forward activity. I don't know if any of it was running anymore, but like I was done participating in the forward activity. I knew that at that time, but of
Yeah.
course, already within that same day, I was like, why didn't I go out again? And I think being by myself, I was realizing I needed to drive back to the hotel. I needed to pack up my car, which in fact I didn't, because Mike Rowe's brother totally did that for me. He was like, I can help you do this. And I was like, that's amazing. And then I sat down and don't really remember. I wasn't very helpful. I think he did it.
Understandably so. That's fine.
I just kind of sat there and he like packed up the car, and then I was driving back to the hotel. It's like a half an hour away or so, and I actually like fell asleep in the parking lot for 10 minutes before I could get into the hotel. So if you want to crew yourself for a backyard race, you can absolutely do it. Like there's just no benefit to it.
Okay.
There's no win unless you unless you were planning on bringing like a felon or something.
Was
But
there
you can
any
totally.
point was there a point during the event that you were really missing having a crew? Like where you were just like, "Oh gosh, I really wish somebody was here to help
Um,
me with X, Y, or Z."
yeah, I mean, I think I right at the end, and it was amazing because like towards the end, that's like as that group got smaller and like more intimate, like that group became and their crew became like so supportive and like really like one of Sarah's people like gave me a pancake. I had no idea I wanted a pancake so badly. It was amazing. Like Mike threw a like frisbee to Onosi Pino meal cream pie. Like I mean, I was like, this is exactly what I need. You know, like when it was hardest, there were definitely people there. My thing is, I feel like even if somebody came over like at mile 20 and was like, hey, I can be your crew, I can help you, I would be like, ooh, no, thank you, because it is such a big thing to ask of somebody. It
Yeah.
is a huge ask. It's a huge effort. It's a huge commitment. And it's like, it's just you being like the worst version of yourself. Like, I need this. I want this. Give me this. Bye. You know, like, and you say thank you. You say like, thanks. Oh my gosh. And you mean I thank you, but it's like, it's all
It
these
do
things where you're just
Yeah.
really, like, so I kind of wouldn't want to, I would only want to subject a friend to that, I guess.
Yeah. Not a stranger.
Yeah, not a stranger, but you can, and I think organization is key. Like if you're organized and if you have your stuff laid out and if you have your like troubleshooting planned out and like I will say like expect it and accept it, like expect that this will happen, accept it, and then like address it. And I think that like it really helps. But yeah, there's no benefit to doing it solo.
Well, I'm glad to hear that everybody was helping you out
Oh my
though.
gosh,
Yeah.
it was like the friendliest social distance crowd, and like coming up the hill to get back up to the top of the hill, like just everybody like up there like clapping and cheering,
Yeah.
and it just like people, and I know that everybody was earnestly cheering everybody on, uh but the like it is seems so personal. It seems like people are really like, you, I see you right now, and I want you to get up this hill, and I see you right now, and you're doing great.
Yeah.
Uh, it's really awesome, and that's not found everywhere, but
No, it's
it's
not.
super special. Yeah.
When I ran it the first year, it was so that was 2019. It was a year. It was a year after I had finished the AT. Not even quite a year. Like, I don't know, like 9 months or something. And so I had like, like Sharpied myself all up, like with my trail name. Like I was trying to pump myself up, like you
Yeah.
can do this. And so my husband was calling me my trail name, and not really out loud, but somehow on my last loop when I got in, everybody was screaming my trail
Oh,
name.
that's so awesome.
So it was super, yeah, it was just like, oh, like, that's so nice. Like I'm really tired, but thank you. Like that's just what
It's
that's
pretty
just what kind
magical.
of people are there. Yeah. Um and he had the most fun. My husband had a ton of fun, being crew, just like hanging out with everybody
Oh
else.
yeah.
So, we didn't know anybody going in. I had nobody there that I knew, and by the end you come out with some friends. So, did you had participated in other running events up to the Ode. You said you hadn't run 100 miles. Was
Mhm.
it your goal to run 100 miles?
No,
Did you have a set mileage you wanted?
no, supposedly my goal was to win. Like that's what you're supposed to do. You're
Right.
supposed to want to win. I don't I did want to win. I don't
Okay.
think I ever had like I don't think I had that in my head or my heart well enough. Um because you really got to.
Why? Why wasn't it in there? Why were you doubting yourself?
Well, when I was 8. No.
Not yet. I don't
Like,
mean from like a,
I
yeah, like
think
a deep
because
entrenched.
I think it's a very hard thing to say that you're a winner. And it's
Okay.
a very hard thing to picture yourself as a winner when you're not I'm I'm not finishing anywhere near the top of any of these like races. Um and so it would be a big it'd be a pretty massive buoy I'd have to be leaning on to get to the top of that sea pile. And I knew that more than I knew that I wanted to win. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And
Okay. Yeah.
it's also like a very hard thing to be like, I want to win this race. That's like, that's just like, ugh, that's really uncomfortable for me. I'm really bad at that. Um, so I think that, and it was hard. It was harder than I expected it to be, which is silly. You should expect it to be
Okay.
hard, but I was struggling with it sooner than I anticipated. I was making deals with myself like sooner than I thought. Like
Okay.
you have to get to 50 miles. Like what is wrong with you? And it was like, okay, you've got to get to 100K. Like, all right, you got to get past 75. Like, okay, but 90 sounds pretty good. And that's where it started like if you say like I ran 90 miles, that sounds like pretty good. Like, okay, but if you could get to like 9, like that's okay. So then you have to get to 100. And then I think that 100, because like in the like ultra world, that 100 is a number.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that very much became like the rack I was on.
Okay.
I don't think I had more. There was no like, I'm not saying there was more, but that is what my focus went to.
Yeah.
So then that the catalyst to go again was like absent because the whole fire had been stoked to get to that. And because
Right.
I was going so slowly on the road loops and we needed to go back to trail to get to 100
Yeah.
because of the
You had
rain,
to do what? One more loop or two more loops?
one more trail loop because of the rain delay. And I was like,
Right.
that's not even going to happen. I was like, so then it wasn't even about 100. It was like, I've got to finish that trail loop in time. And we
Yeah.
all went out. It was so nice. Like we went out as a group, the 6 of us, and people that was like, all right, bring her around, get her back here. And I stopped like to tie my shoe because I wanted to just like let people like go.
Yeah. You want to be by yourself.
It's just easier for me to pace me
Mm-hmm.
and to feel like, and I knew they were going to leave, like they were going to move faster than me anyhow. So I was like, if I stop to tie my shoe, it's because I stopped to tie my shoe. And shut up, dirt, you know? So like, I was like, oh, they're gone. And then I could like pace myself. You can see the trail a little bit better. There's less of that like, and I think in that time I hadn't like that 57 minutes, you have enough time to be like, if I go a little slower, I won't have to go again. And if you go a little faster, you might finish this on time. It's a real roller coaster out there, man. Like,
Right.
you know it. Like, you've
That's
played
funny.
the game.
Sarah said the same thing when I talked to her about Biggs. You know, she said she knew that if she got back within enough time, her crew was going to talk her into going out again. And she didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So she purposely like dragged her heels so that they would not have any time to sweet talk her.
Yeah.
So that's funny that you kind of allude.
I had to do that all inside my own head because I was my own crew.
Right? You're like, I can't talk. Well, by that time though, you had adopted crew. So
yeah. But then none of them were driving me back to the hotel. I think
they would have tried to.
I think they were all pretty stated and thought it was a real damn miracle that I got to 100 anyway. Because like the Ohio contingent, when I didn't go back and I saw that they weren't there, I was like, shut the front door. Those are such good fakers. I had no idea. And it's that Chad Wright they had listened to.
Yes.
Have you listened to it yet?
I watched it right after I talked with them over the weekend.
So,
right?
Can I tell you how many, like I've sent that to so many people and like
shared. I didn't know at first I didn't know what to think. Like, I was like, I'm either in love with this guy or he's like completely stoned. Like, but he's like sober as all get out.
Yeah.
From what he claimed. But man, he talk about
but
I don't even know how to describe it.
For them. They looked like shiny pennies and I had no idea. And some of that in like when you talked with the top three, you know, they were just sort of starting to talk about the like head games and stuff.
Yeah.
So much of that is appearance because it's like that. If you smile on the outside, you can feel it on the inside and you can trick your neighbor. But I think could not believe that they weren't back in that crowd. I think no one was surprised that I wasn't going back because I looked like a Raggedy Andy. I think like it was like pretty bad. So there's like room for improvement, I guess.
Yeah, their whole mantra, you know, was that Chad Wright mantra of you don't talk about your pain, you don't show your pain, like don't give a voice to it. Mm-hmm. We all know, you know, they were saying, you know, they said we all knew each of us were hurting and everybody else was probably in the same boat, maybe except Sarah, because they all said she looked fresh like a daisy, you know, like she just rolled out of bed and, you know, had a shower and everything. Yeah. But they said, you know, they were hurting and their whole tactic was not to psych people out, but to just get them through it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. That like smile on the outside. Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because that's easier said than done, right? So
it's an exhaustible resource.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's but I think they were so awesome. Yeah.
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 So at what point did do you remember what mileage it was where you're like, I'm done at 100?
Like 94 or whatever, 92.
Okay. So you had a couple laps left and then.
Well, like because it was the idea of going back on trail and finishing a trail loop in time. I thought there was a very, very good likelihood I wouldn't be able to get that trail done in time. Okay. So I less became focused on like the 100, but that I needed to do that trail in order to get it. So I like those very quickly coalesced. Like I knew I could finish the roads.
Okay.
At that point, I was like, of course I'll finish the roads. And probably it would have like, if it was like, it's mile like 92, you have to go on the road again. Like, obviously that's okay. But I think the trail, just the idea of going back on the trail and knowing just sort of, I obviously didn't know, but sort of extrapolating the speed that I had been moving on the road and translating it to trail pace,
Yeah.
I became very like doubtful, so I think that's probably where. And then it was just icing that was 100. So it sort of like merged together. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes
When, so, when you first signed up for this and you're like, I need to get that golden ticket, I want to go to Bigs. Did you know who was running in this race? Like, did you have any nerves that you were having to compete against last year's champion? Or did you not know really much about
I
the
didn't know
crowd here?
much
Okay.
about the crowd there. I did end up like having to like, in order, because you guys do everything on Facebook. So I like started looking
Yeah.
at Facebook, and I was like, whoa, there are some big shots. And it was like pretty awesome to see like how like everybody kind of like coalesced back together, and there was like the group chatter, and then of course my dad loves looking people up on Ultra Sign Up.
Oh, really?
He is one of the best armchair ultra racers I know. Like and he was really great on like the long trails I did too, because he was like the weather update. He would let me know like what was going on weather wise in like the small rural areas we're in.
Yeah.
So he was like just saying like how like Sarah's done all these races and she's amazing. So then of course I have to go look, and there's like 1,000 Sarah Moores on Ultra Sign Up, but you can tell like she's like a freaking rock star. And then you like see like, holy cow, Miko's done all these like obstacle course. It's pretty cool. So I was like, this is gonna be real and super hard. And I think what really the antithesis of like Mike Rowe's approach, which is like to never run trail and then be like sort of savant good at it. I'm like a neurotic enough person that I drove into town on Friday, and then before I even went to the hotel, I went to the trail and ran the loop. Like I had it on my like watch. I can like on my Coros, like you can plot the map so it like tells you where to go. And I tried to move through or run the loop at a very like pace like I thought I would, like the 8th time or whatever. And I with like 7 minutes to go, and I called my friend and I was like, this is gonna be hard. This weather is gonna have to be perfect, because
it was. You guys had great weather.
Total murder. It was like the weather was, once that thunderstorm was done, and I was worried that it was going to be muddy and slicky, but it was, like such nice, like drainable sand.
Yes.
I was worried about the mud. It was like the weather was cool and the breezy and clear sky. It was amazing. But I finished, and I was like,
bugs. Were the bugs gone and everything? Yeah, I mean,
I was like thinking. I think before I thought this is just going to be able to do, and like I'm pretty good at being able to do things for a long time. But this was going to be able to do with a fitness level, like with an exhaustible fitness level.
Yeah.
And
did you practice the road, or did you only go out there and run the trail?
I only went out there and ran the trail.
So I ran the road because I ran 7 laps my first year, and then I didn't run it this year, obviously, but I hadn't been on the road loop, right?
Yeah.
So I went out with Tad this past weekend.
It's lumpy.
On Sunday, yeah. And we ran the trail loop, and I said, well, I was gonna go out there and run 2 loops because I need to get some mileage in. And I said, well, they were leaving. I said, I'm gonna run 1 more loop. And he said, well, have you ever run the road? And I said, no. And he goes, you should run the road. So he told me where to go to, and then and where to turn around. I'll tell you what, it was not. I would have thought if I had gone into that being like, yeah, I can't wait to get to the night because this road's going to be such a rest, It is hilly. There's no flat spot on it.
Yeah, it's lumpy. The best, I think, I really think her name was Anita. She and another woman were at that turnaround spot, and they were like stinking amazing glowworms. They were like a little power up, like a little tiny Mario mushroom You got there and you're like, "Ugh," and then you're like, "Ugh," and you're like, "Come on back."
That's hilarious because the Ohio boys talked about them as well.
Yeah,
That and how awesome it was to
yeah.
have him cheering. Yeah.
They were
Aw.
the little Mario mushrooms. It just like gave you the power to like bloop, and to go back up that hill. You know, because they're at the bottom of the hill and you got to go back up that. But yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I was really surprised. I'm not I've been trying to practice running road more because I am not a road runner. I like the trails. I don't have the patience or the attention span for the road, um but I've been trying to do it more. So I was really surprised. I was like, "Oh gosh,
Mhm.
this is not an easy road 4 miles."
Not a cakewalk. Yeah, I do
No.
a majority of my training on road because
Okay.
it's right out my door. Like I, you don't have to add like a commute to either side of it. Uh,
Right.
so it's, I mean, we have a lot of amazing trails here, but I'll oftentimes like actually run before work to work, or
Okay.
make like leave work and like run my run from work to home and like do like a run commute thing. Um, just because it's easier if you only have to step out your door, then you're almost already like running. Uh,
Yeah.
and then the trails end up feeling like a treat, like when I go out of the way to like drive to the trail. But it really like consumes like a,
Yeah.
yeah. But
When so I'm curious about this because I want to see what your perspective was, and then I'll tell you what I was thinking about it. But you did these long trails. Do you, when you started into running and you decided that you were going to do ultra distances, did you feel like you had an advantage mentally going in because you had already accomplished something that, took a lot of willpower and kind of
yeah,
just grinding at something every day for months?
yeah.
And did you feel so? Did you think you had that advantage going in? And once you were there, what did you think?
I think I felt like I would had that advantage going
Mhm.
in. I had like sort of, or I sort of see myself like as a Honda Civic, like good, like low, like good fuel economy, not flashy or fast, and nobody's like jonesing to like buy one, but you all know you should. So like I knew I could endure, and the stuff that gives that sometimes is hard on like a trail, like a trail run, like an endurance run, is like your feet start hurting. Yeah, like you're pretty hungry. Also okay. The food
Yeah.
is gross, but you're hungry anyway. Like your hands get dirty, you fall, you're in the dirt, your feet get wet, you know, you like twist your ankle, but you have to like keep going through all of those things. And I remember there was one race I was doing where like there was a stream crossing and the guy like sat down and started changing his socks. And I was like, oh boy, you
Just go right through
they're
it.
gonna dry out. They're totally gonna dry out. And that's not always the right answer because sometimes it's important to do feet care. But I think because I know, like I said, it's scripted, it's like at the end of the race, which will not be more than like 2 days, you know, or whatever, you there's a car and a bed and aid stations, and you know it's not going to be like 3 more days, and like you're totally going to get to change your underwear like way sooner than like on any kind of long trail. And
Underwear.
yeah, more like it's just like it's just the horizon is all that much more closer that it makes it like things a lot more palatable. Yeah.
Okay.
And you get used to doing more with less. I think when you're doing like long distance hiking, you can like deal with less. And it's so funny because my friend gives me a hard time because when we're doing our longer runs, I'm always like trying to like skimp and pack super light and like do this and this. And she's like, you would think you'd be like used to carrying weight. And I was like, I hate
Right.
it. I don't need, you know. Um, so I'll like plan my runs around here, like where there's like a, like Dunkin' Donuts or Panera's where, you know, you can like refill your water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Around that. Yeah. But yeah, I think I thought I would have an advantage, and I think I
Okay.
do. One of my problems is like one of the girls I work with, she like ran cross country in college, and this girl knows how to race. Like she can race a marathon. And I think coming from like hiking, I'm not a very good racer.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying for you.
No,
I'm definitely for
no,
me.
you're right. Yeah. For me too.
I was definitely my
I
body
think
was
that's the
definitely
advantage.
made to walk versus run. Sometimes I say to myself, I'm like, maybe I'm just not a runner. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's this just I can walk so much farther than I can run. I don't know.
And how many loops at Ode? You're a runner. You're a runner.
Well, I'm working on it. That's my aspiration is to become a runner. So
You're already there.
but
Yeah.
you know, my experience was is I thought I had all this mental fortitude, like, you know, and a lot of the game is not just physical, it becomes mental after a certain stage, right? But so I thought I had all that stuff, and I should have had all that stuff. But then once I got out there, it was lacking big time. And I think what I ended up deciding was, you know, when I looked at it later on, was the long distance hike. I never wanted to do something more than I wanted to do that. And my mentality, kind of this goes back to the Chad Wright thing, was I've got two options. I will finish this run, you know, complete whatever my goal is to complete, or I will die trying. Like that was my mentality. Like there's no way I'm coming home from this thing unless I bust both my legs and have to be choppered out of here. Like that is how you would that's the only way I was going to come home, right?
Mhm.
For the run for the races, you know, when I started going into it after my hike, I think I just didn't want it that bad. You know, like I was much more wishy-washy. It was much more I was saying much more sooner, all right, I'm good. You know, like yeah, like it was the people that were out hiking and they got to a certain point and they're like, I think I accomplished what I came out here to do. I'm good. And that was
Yeah.
kind of my mentality. So it definitely takes a different mindset when you're heading out to these events. Like you said, like this, I didn't have a mileage. You didn't have a mileage goal. Your goal was to win.
Mhm.
So, and you took your body, you know, farther probably than your body was saying, like, I want to
Right.
stop. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you went as far as you could go
Yeah.
at that point in time for that day, you know. So,
And what's incredible about this race too, and you are 100% a runner. What's incredible about this, there's like people think ghost.
I was like, oh,
Oh, it's easy, like 4.1116 like miles, like every loop, like every hour. That's easy. You can run that at a conversational pace. That's, you know, you can do that. There's like very little room for error.
right.
And I know there were far stronger runners out there than myself that did not get to go as far as like the six of us, and then you know, because something went even a little sideways.
Mm-hmm.
You get a little nauseous, and you feel like you can't catch up, or you twist your ankle for a second and you feel like you have to, and you have to not feel like you have to walk for like 2 minutes. Like heck, a complicated trip to the bathroom
Yeah.
could be the end. You know, there's so little room where like if you have a full, and I can't speak to like 100-mile race because I've not done that. If you have like a full 100K, you know, those cutoffs are there, and you have to
Right.
be in those cutoff windows to make apologies and have errors and then correct them and like compensate. And this like takes like, you really have to, it has to be the day, and things have to go right. And like you're saying, like you have to know, like, this is my day to do this.
Right.
And some days it's like, it's not
Yeah.
your day because either you don't totally want to, or the motivation isn't there, or it feels wrong. And even if it feels wrong, that's like your body and your brain sort of saying like, yeah, it's not going to pan out, you know?
Right.
And like, there were people out there that I talked to that were so exceptional. And I know that, and they just got nauseous or their backs got tight or what, you know, and it's like, and
Yeah.
it's a brutal race in its simplicity of design and like how like palatable it sounds to people, like 4 miles. Like,
I was like, oh, I can power walk that.
many of mothers have said, I could walk that. But it's so much harder than that. And there's like, yeah, you could, too much Vaseline and it's a slippery slope.
So now that we just scared everybody away from attending,
that's what's great about it, is it's a challenge that like,
right.
like this, I can do this, but that's a challenge you have to like really like, there's the fun in it is like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I can like sort this out, which is just like the most, you know, and you've spoken to this before, like, you know, like, okay, I've trained for a marathon. I'm going to complete this marathon. I've done the steps. And you can train for this and it'll still give you curveballs, but like I think ultra runners do this. They run ultras because they're looking for curveballs. Like, you know, because there's not enough of them in the pandemic. You're looking for curveballs that you want to know how you can respond to them when they come up. And I think that these races are like cool, like super cool for that.
Do you think, because you said, you alluded to something that I totally related to. So when you came back from, you said, I think the AT, your first hike, when you said you were just restless.
Yeah.
Do you think, and I completely understand, I like could not sit still, period. Like I thought I couldn't wait to do anything but sit on the couch, and then that totally backfired. Like I had ants in my pants. So do you think the uh ultra running community is a bunch of restless people?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of, and not in a bad way. I'm not saying that as a negative at all. But it definitely attracts a certain type. And and I think it's interesting, even if you don't feel like you might be that type, the backyard style can introduce you to it. You know what I mean? And it's kind of a great way. It's like almost like a trial by fire, but it's an interesting way to see, like, do I like this? Do I feel challenged by this? Do I like to be challenged? You know what I mean? Like, so like if you had to tell somebody who was brand new to running, who was like, hey, I heard about this Ode Lasz race, you know,
yeah,
if you had to give them, you know, what would you say to them? I guess like, hey, yeah, come out and do a lap or two, or is this just a race for serious runners?
No, I would say like absolutely, and I bore witness to this in that 1 mile loop, because like 12 hours, people are like, why am I signing for a 12-hour race? And it's like, because you could go to a softball game in the middle of it if you like, and then come back. It just lets you see what you can do. It gives you a nice format to try it in. There were so many people there who I think were just like, I want to get my first like trail marathon done. I want to do ultra for the first time. And it's just like, and there's something really nice about it because it's that conversational sort of like anaerobic pace, or you get to talk with people and you get these little comments from people, and then to stay
finishing last
means the most.
Means the most.
and then getting to stay for a bit, and that was one thing I really regretted. I was just such a piece of trash afterwards. I couldn't. Someone's like, you should stay and have a beer, and I was like,
Like, I'm going to bed.
Stay awake. Like I would not, but that's what's cool about these like loop races is you can see what other people are doing. You can talk to other crew. You get little tidbits. Like you are like, whoa, what are you eating? Like how they're drinking that? Like, whoa, what are those? You like, it's almost
Yes.
like an expo of awesomeness because it's like good people, like experience and exposure and like it's a great setup for you to find out you can do more than you thought you could.
Yeah. It's like the trail days of running.
Yeah.
You know, like you
Yeah.
can just go and scope out everybody's gear and
Yep.
everybody's food.
Yep.
And yeah, I learned a lot the first year, and I'm learning so much from doing these, interviews, which is what my goal was
Yeah.
to learn more so I could do more. But
I love how varied the top three, their training approaches were. I thought that was incredible.
it's hilarious, and everybody has been a little bit different.
Yeah.
You guys will hear when the Ohio boys are released, their training was very methodical. Sarah, I think she's methodical, but she doesn't like to say she is. So, but that girl just goes out and runs, like Mike's was very methodical.
Yeah.
Was yours that methodical? You're training for this, or
I did a couple. I did do like one sort of like mock up one night after like a long day at work. After a long day at work, my friend and I mapped out a loop, and we did the loops on the hour and until like midnight or 1 a.m. So we wanted to do it tired, and we did I think like 20. I think it was like a 20 or 24. Just to try and get used to like on that tired in the darkness, like in the road. And it was less like ode specific because I don't like, how do you train for that? Obviously the census is like, it's still out. Like there's nothing resulted. So it was like, again, sort of like long weekends, like a 3 hour and then a 2 hour, 45 minutes and like hills and speed during the week. But it was all just sort of, just keeping like volume up.
okay, yeah.
And again, it was, I had originally like planned to run Miwok in May. So that's 100K. And so I was, going to run that and like that fell away and like, just like watching like, and I was supposed to have another, just watching them all fall away, but I just like kept like running to keep, because I really enjoy it and it keeps my like Wellbutrin dose lower. And then just kind of like stretch those hours out on the weekend a little bit to get accustomed to on the feet time. And I do longer hikes, like I was saying, I spent a couple days on the long trail where I would hike for I think like 12 hours with like a 30-minute break in there.
Yeah.
So like 12 hours of nonstop, like hard focused hiking with only like a short break. Like I eat my ramen noodles. Like walking ramen is like one of my favorite snacks. Like you hike and like eat your ramen like this. Because it's cold, because that's like the way to do it.
Oh no, you cold soak? No, all right, we can't be friends anymore.
Totally a cold soaker. I still eat my oatmeal cold 2 years later. I'm still cold oatmeal. I can't go back.
Oh, gross. No.
So like I'm and things like that. And like I'd go to the Adirondacks and, do a long days, like day into night. So again, because there isn't like a great, if there is a script on how to do this, it's not published. Sarah, you could make some money on it if you publish it. But it was just like trying to be up on my feet and trying to get miles in. And
yeah.
Did
you feel like you ate well during it? Did you have any trouble? Okay.
I was really glad I focused more on food initially, which was good because like it was easy and palatable and it went down and it was fine. So then later when I was tired and like sort of disinterested, I could literally like mechanically just squeeze like the I use spring energy. Like I could literally like squeeze them in and that job was done instead of like trying to like
chew. Yeah.
So I was glad I ate mostly real food in the front end, and then I could just like squeeze the gels into my body. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it was mostly like kind of classic stuff like chips and like hard-boiled eggs, some salt potatoes. I had like watermelon. I had like flour tortillas with like hummus and a pickle. You like blot off a little bit so it doesn't get too damp. And then you salt that and roll that up, and that's like a nummy little
salt bomb.
little salt snack. It's sweet because of the flour tortilla and use like the beet hummus. Those are good. Like, so it's mostly like real food early on, and then just the gel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the tailwind too, just so I could get some to help like get that number of calories in there.
Yeah, and not have your stomach be totally full of solids.
Yeah, of like
it sounds like a lot of people
like a whole like pepperoni log like stuck in your stomach like sideways.
A lot of people are talking about the tailwind and that they used it. And I definitely think I'm going to give it a try.
I dose it at half.
You know, I think that's what Miko was saying he does too.
Otherwise,
or Mike or Miko, they diluted it a little bit more because it's very sweet.
It's too slick. It makes your mouth feel like Rain-X if you do like full dose. So you've got to.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's good calories. So.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. You brought up something that made me laugh. So when you said you can lower your Wellbutrin dose, so I was telling you earlier, before we started recording, I was re-listening to Joe Rogan podcast with Courtney Dauwalter when she just finished Moab and won the Moab 232. I can't remember what it is, 230, 240. Okay. And he said something. He was talking about, how young she is to be winning these events, and that he said something to the effect like, a lot of the people who you see winning these ultra distance, marathons are typically more seasoned or older runners. And he said it jokingly, but I don't know if he was actually being serious, was that, that typically it's the older people winning it because they've lived long enough to be like pissed off at the world.
Yeah.
So they're running out the anger, they're running out the crazy, they're using it as a stress release.
Right. Dealing with addiction, dealing with like PTSD. Yeah, I think he pretty much was like, so what's broken in you?
Right.
And I like smiling's the best. She's not.
She totally, like
it was great. Yeah.
Started that question, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe there is nothing.
Yeah, you certainly don't have to be broken, or you don't have to use it to fill a need. I just know it's like it just was rewarding for me, and as like a particularly like I think one of the things that going like back, whatever, 12 years ago when I hiked the AT, one thing that I came back with, and I think for me these races really help tick those boxes, is there's something to mark progress.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm making this progress. I'm moving towards this goal. And there's not a lot of that in normal life.
Yeah.
You might have a big budget proposal to put forward, or you might want to see your kid graduate, or whatever. But there's not a lot of them. And
it's not happening on a daily basis.
Yes. And on the long trails, you're like a mouse with the bar, and you get the pellet. Like, yep, I hiked this far. I made this mark. Here's my like achievement. And I think it's, we're sort of set up like this, like you did great in elementary school. Now you're done with middle school, high school pieces, college, job. And then it's like, it's like this kind of like, so I think race is kind of like you work towards this goal. And I think that's why it's not that uncommon. Like after long races, I experience this. It's almost like a postpartum, but post race, like you put all this energy into like preparing for this race or doing this thing, like, and this happens with long trails and, you
Yeah.
know, and even if like people put their parents' retirement party together, they do this thing and then it's sort of like,
This
yeah.
letdown aftermath.
And
Yeah.
the thing you only ever wanted was to lay on the couch, and then you're like, you know, even though this year without races, like I think knowing like I'll go out there, and if I don't run my, you know, Wednesday 10 with hills, then that will make my Saturday this hard. And I knew I needed to keep adding to that bucket, even though I didn't know what the bucket was for. Like
Right.
it seemed very likely that this would be canceled too. And like
Yeah.
huge stinking kudos for pulling this off. Like
Yeah.
it was so well done. Yeah. And like, yeah. So it was, and I think a lot of people needed it, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely. And I had asked Ted the other day, I said, is when you first started coming out with this idea to host this kind of event, like, are you looking at it now and being like, "God, this is a lot of work." And this year especially, like, it was just
Yeah.
there was just so much added thought that had to go into everything.
And
Like, did you just want to cancel it? Like, it would have just been so much easier.
he puts
But
that, and like he puts that into, I feel like, you know, like Mike mentioned, and I experienced this too, like the emails, like you can, you know, like that, there's such an awesome, like personal, you know, it's like I said, it's like that earnest, like looking in the eyes, like I want to see you succeed at this.
yes.
And I think that's like very powerful. I think that's one of the like awesome things about that race. And it may not be Tad and it may not be, but it's somebody else there who will be like, you got this, you can,
Yeah.
and until you're like, no, I am sitting down.
Seriously, I'm done. So are you gonna come back next year?
Oh yeah, already registered.
Oh, good. Okay.
And
And
it's gonna be July, so it will be hot, and it will be deer fly season. So
oh gosh, yeah, we're just gonna pretend that the deer flies don't exist.
yeah,
and
training.
and hope that for this year and last year, the flies were gone.
Yeah,
And they were there the week before. So something, hopefully next year we get the same good luck that they just disappear. Otherwise, bring your fly tape, and
yeah,
maybe a bug net, because if you want to save your sanity. But yeah, we haven't had to have it, for the last 2 years. So, have you put any thought into coming out for any of the other Ode events? So there's in January, if you want to run in the snow.
I run in the snow all the stinking time.
Well, you should come run in the snow in Michigan because you'll have fun, right? And
Just-
then in May, if you want to run at night to practice your night loops,
which is good, which is important.
yeah, you can come run and do that at night, all night long if you want. So
Yeah,
um,
it's like I mean, Detroit, the flight to Detroit's not bad. It's been really hard to plan because
yeah,
the murder virus. So it's been like difficult to like put your eggs in a basket. And like Miko was saying this too, like so many of my races from last year are now this year.
yes,
Yeah.
and the times might have changed. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I would like I have no doubt that I'm super looking forward to July. And if I have to go
Okay,
cruise,
good.
I would do it again. But I think my friend signed up also again.
Okay.
Maybe she'll come again.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah. So because I came back and I was just like totally cheesed out, and she's like, "I'm gonna sign up."
It's a fun event, and it's appealing to everybody because, kind of like what Laz always says, like, be your own hero. Don't do it to, don't do it for somebody else. Don't do it for the recognition. Don't, for the bragging rights. Or do it because you want to see what you can do. And even if you've never even run 4 miles, come and see if you can run 4 miles. If you've never run a trail, come see if you can run the trail. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're paying for it. You're paying for a trial, but and then hang out and learn stuff from other
Yeah.
people, So I definitely think it's the way it's set up. It's a event for anybody, serious or not serious runners. So
Yeah.
and maybe you'll become a serious runner if you weren't already,
You'll
because you
hooked.
get all pumped up.
Yeah, like all it took was that one day in Pennsylvania, and I was like, I want to do this again and again.
Yeah, like that was hard, but I like
I ran a road marathon. I was like, the snacks are not as good as those. Like,
right.
they only have tiny cups of water. This is dumb.
Right. Yeah, we're the oatmeal cream pies.
Yeah.
Well, hey, so I think we should wrap up. We've been on for a while. Of course, I always say I'm going to keep it shorter, and then I never do. So about an hour and a half seems to be what it always is. But I know you got other things to
Come
do.
to Rochester and run.
What's that?
Everybody should come to Rochester and run. We have a lot of awesome trails, and
I love New York. So next time I am coming through that area.
That should be our motto. I love New York. That's a good ring to it. We should put that on a shirt.
I feel like that might already exist.
Yeah, anybody come to Rochester and we can run road or trail or whatever, and yeah, it would be awesome. It's pretty much a straight drive. Oh, and if you run 100 miles and then drive, you never have to stop to go to the bathroom.
Oh, no.
I drove home the next day.
You learned that?
Yeah, I drove home the next day and I was like, this is really great. Like,
you didn't pee for 7 hours?
No. I went to the drive-thru and I was like, okay, I don't need to stop. And then I got gas and I was like, should I pee? And I was like, don't have to. I was like, this is amazing. But then I would also forget that I had run 100 miles and like get out of the car and be like, ugh. Like, sitting in the car, which is terrible for your body anyway.
Oh,
yes. Car, like get out of the car. Like,
and your legs are buckling underneath you. Oh my gosh, that had to be a painful ride back.
Yeah, it wasn't bad because you're just like, I mean, cars, you're just like aiming nowadays, like, but yeah, it was like it was a very efficient ride, like just stopping. Yeah.
Oh, God. And then you went into kidney failure. No.
There's 2 of them. There's fine.
You only need one. All right, Abby. Well, I'm going to say goodnight, and thank you again for joining me. And yeah, if you ever want to go hiking or running, hit me up. And yeah, I would love. I'm glad I met another person who likes to do stuff like that. So, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Keep an eye out. Probably in the next couple weeks, we'll have some other people on. We have some other runners lined up already. So we are going through everybody and learning something every time. So thanks again, Abby, and have a good night, guys.
So cool. Bye. The mandatory hand wave Zoom.
Okay.